Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Diaries of a 20-something. I'm Paige Marquez, your host, and today we are talking all about finances. Managing your finances in your 20s is something that is so crucial, but so difficult to do, and I feel like it's a very taboo topic, and that's really why I wanted to come on here and just be as financially transparent with you guys as possible about what I've been going through and what I've learned and how my experience with it has been. I feel like in your 20s, it is so easy to just spend every dollar that you make. But I think honestly, in the long run, you're going to thank yourself so much later if you actually take the time to build good habits now and set yourself up well for the future. Now that I'm actually making money, and I feel like some of you guys probably are too, I really just wanted to get on here and share my experience with it because it's definitely been interesting. So let's get into it. First of all, I hope you guys all love the new intro. I actually just did it the other day and I was going to make it for season 2, but honestly, I couldn't wait. Like, why not make it now? I feel like finances in your 20s, like I said, is something that's very taboo. And I feel like not enough people talk about it enough, but I feel like we should. In my life now, I have friends who make way more money than me and I have friends who make less money than me. And that can be a little bit tricky from a social scenario when you're talking about like making plans. The truth is, we're in a really weird world to be starting our careers right now. You know, the economy is horrible, the job market's horrible, rent prices are literally insane. I feel like it is a lot harder for us to make a living and grow our careers now than ever before. So let's just go into the basics first. I would say the most important thing that I have learned is to really know your income versus your expenses. I feel like this is like the biggest mess up that people do in their 20s. This is definitely my biggest issue. I really do believe that you should be making like not only double what your rent is, but probably triple, because you want to have extra room to save and to spend and to invest and do whatever you do with your money. You don't want to be so tight about it that you have nothing to spare. And like I said, this is where I kind of messed up because what I'm making is not what I'm supposed to be making. I'll put it that way for now. So when I signed the lease for my apartment, I was like, okay, this is perfect. I'll be able to easily afford this. Like, no, I can't. And it's really difficult every single month. And every month, this is like a big issue for me. It's just really important to understand that bills add up really, really quickly. The best advice I could give you, like I said a little bit earlier, is to make way more than what your cost of living is. It is really not fun having no money left over every month, I promise. Another great way to do this is to track your spending. I know there's like a bunch of apps you can download for this, but personally I just use the Chase app because it gives me a monthly breakdown every month and I can kind of be like, okay, like this is how much I'm spending on food. Food is my biggest issue. I like eating out specifically, which I cut down on so hard. I never eat out anymore and I've saved so much money, which is great, but I was eating out a lot when I first moved here, mainly because I just wanted to try all these new restaurants around me and I didn't have all my stuff here yet, like my kitchen stuff, so I couldn't really cook, and I spent a lot of money on food in the month of September, I can tell you that. But whatever like your vices, whatever your financial vices, it's just important to be tracking your spending just so you know where all your money's actually going, because I was actually surprised on how much money I was spending on food. I thought roughly like $200 a month. Like, no. Month of September, I spent $600 that month eating out. $600. It'll just help you become more mindful with every purchase. And I feel like whether you're making great money in your 20s or you're not, it's still important to be saving as much as possible and to be investing as much as possible. And I'll get into investments later, but you want extra room. Like, why would you just waste all your money if you don't have to? You know what I mean? It's also very important to have a decent amount saved. And this is mainly aimed at the people that haven't moved out of your parents' house yet. If you haven't moved out yet, save as much money as possible, as much money as you possibly can. Do not take out of it, as tempting as it is. I've always been very good about this, mostly because I did get a huge jump start to my savings account. I was in a really bad car accident back in high school and got a really decent settlement from it. If it wasn't for that, I don't know where I would be financially. But like I said, another thing is investing. Investing is so important. I started investing like literally the day I turned 18. My godfather had given me $1,000 in bonds and I used literally every single one of them. I just put them straight into Robinhood. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just blindly investing. And to be honest, I still blindly invest to this day. I don't know the financial financial market that well. I don't know the stock market that well. I've learned a little bit. I know like the basics, but I have no confidence when it comes to predicting a stock, but I've been really lucky with it. And I feel like so many people are so scared to invest their money because they're so scared to lose it. But I will tell you, I started with $1,000 and it is now over $3,000. The risk of losing, I feel like, is so much smaller than what people make it out to be, because I think in total, I've probably lost $200 doing stocks, but I've gained thousands. So like, what does that really look like at the end of the day? Like, you're not losing anything, really. I am literally the queen of having fun on a budget, and I've learned how to do it really well. I go out pretty often with my friends. I don't really go out that much anymore, but my first couple of months living here, I did. And most of the time I went out, I did not spend more than $10 or $20. Going out is actually like my cheapest expense every single month, like ranging from anywhere from $0 to $20. And the way that I do this is I don't go out really like to clubbing unless there's a table involved. When I go to bars, like normally you can get guys to buy drinks for you, or you like pregame really hard. I recently just had a TikTok get kind of popular for the wrong reasons. I talked about how I was going on a lot of dates when I was moving here. I went on 29 Hinge dates in 2.5 months, and that was a way of budgeting as well. Like, I wasn't using men for free meals. That's not what I was doing, but it was an added plus. I was dating, you know, and if the date went bad, which most of them didn't go good enough to move forward, it's still a free meal. There you go. Schedule a bunch of dates on the week that you have to go grocery shopping and you don't want to go yet. A lot of men had an issue with that TikTok that I posted, and like, honestly, they're just mad. I think the issue is, honestly, at the end of the day, is that generally speaking, women have a lot more options when it comes to men. It's much easier, I think, to ask a guy out than to ask a girl out. And like I said, I'm not saying to go out there and use men for free meals. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying if you're hungry, if bills are tight and you don't want to grocery shop as much, dating is a great way to do it. The amount of free dinner I got was insane. I literally did not grocery shop for like an entire month because I was dating. And if I did, it was like buying like eggs, like just stuff for breakfast and lunch, and dinner was covered. Like, it was amazing. My grocery bill was a fraction of what it is now. I don't date anymore, if you're wondering. And kind of going off what I was saying before, like, don't spend more than you're making. I know that can be hard with jobs that are based on commission because every month is different. You're not making the same amount, and that can be a little trickier when it comes to budgeting. For me, my job isn't based on commission, but it is different every single month. So basically every single month, regardless if I have a good month or not, I still need to not spend a penny of it because I know the next month it could be worse, and then it'll just break even to make my rent. You know what I mean? That's why when you're post-grad, like, being an hourly employee is, I would say that's like the downside of it, just because you don't know exactly what it's going to be every month, and that can be a real problem for budgeting. It makes it really hard to financially plan and be financially responsible when you don't even know how much you're really working with. So every single month you just can't really spend anything. And this is when I get into side hustles, because you're probably watching this and wondering, Paige, if you're spending all your money on rent and bills, how do you pay for anything else? And I'm going to tell you, side hustles. I dog sit. I dog walk, not consistently because, like I said, my hours are different every single week. And it's hard to have a repeat clientele when you're not working the same days every week. So that's one way I make extra income. Another one is social media, and that one just started because I just recently got into the creator fund from TikTok, but now I'm making money based on TikToks that I'm posting. So that's great, extra cash in my pocket. Obviously, that is not the same every week as well. I also just started a Depop. Haven't gotten any sales yet, but I did just start it. One of my New Year's resolutions was to stop holding on to clothes that I never wear. So I started a Depop so I could get rid of clothes that I don't use anymore without giving them away to a thrift store, like a Plato's Closet type of ordeal, because you just make such horrible money when you do that. Like, if I just wore something once, I'm not giving it to you for $2. Like, that's insane. Like, I'm sorry. No. And obviously this is a side hustle as well for me, but I don't make money from this. But side hustles are a great way to make extra cash. And while it's not consistent, it's still something. And I would say then, if your job really isn't cutting it, it is time to look for other options. And the job market, I will say, is horrible. I started applying for jobs before I graduated college. I want to say 3 months before, knowing that I wasn't going to get any off the bat. You know, I was just kind of like looking at the landscape of it. And I didn't get a job until August. I started applying in February. So that's 6 months of applying to jobs with no responses, no interviews, no nothing. I was basically fishing in empty water. That's what it felt like. The truth is, it's just very hard to find a job today, and it's not because their jobs aren't out there, but it's because so many people are working multiple because the economy is so terrible. That's my conclusion on it. It's also very hard to find a job for new graduates because everybody wants somebody with experience. I mean, when I was applying for jobs, literally the way that every single entry-level job that I applied for was like 5 years of experience, 3 years of experience. And it's like, how is that possible? That's a problem with the job market as well for recent graduates. But I would say the main thing is probably connections. Connections are so important. And I never really realized that until I wasn't getting any kind of jobs or any kind of job offers or any kind of interview offers. Like, I realized talking to my friends that were getting jobs, they had connections, they had a way in, they knew somebody that knew somebody. And that was like my main problem because I didn't know anybody in the journalism field. I would say the most common financial mistakes that I keep seeing now within people in their 20s is overspending on rent. Me overspending on shopping, like nice things, you know, because a lot of people are making a lot more money than they've ever made in their life and they don't really know what to do with it. So they're overspending on like designer things and stuff like that, which like I'm all about treating yourself, but I'm seeing very specific people do it very often. And I'm like, I don't know if that's like the best thing, but like, listen, I'm not a financial consultant. I'm not going to tell anybody what to do with their money, but personally me, I wouldn't be. And the last one I would say is eating out too much. A lot of people eat out. I think it's the area that I live in because when I was at home, the eating out culture was not as big as it is here. There's so many restaurants here and everybody's eating out all the time. And I love eating out. I do. And that's why I had to stop doing it. But I feel like overspending on eating out, obviously anybody can overspend on eating out regardless where you live. But I feel like overspending on eating out and overspending on rent is way more common in a city environment because everything is just so expensive. And with food, the options are endless, literally endless. I've lived here for 4 months and I've probably tried 50 restaurants since I moved here. That's like it's the tiniest percentage compared to what's in a mile radius of me. All in all, managing your finances in your 20s is a very hard thing to do. And I feel like if you grew up in kind of a different environment, you know, like my mom always put a lot of emphasis on like making me learn the value of a dollar, but like my dad was always a little more lenient. So like I didn't really know the value of a dollar until I moved here. And it was a little bit of a shock for me, but I don't think that it was a bad thing. Like it just made me grow up a little quicker. I kind of like believe in like the parenting, like let them struggle a little bit. Like don't let them drown, but like just let them flail a little bit. My dad would never let me drown, you know, but like he'll definitely like let me flail a little, you know. But managing your money in your 20s, I think really is all about balance. It's setting yourself up for the future, but also enjoying your life. It's not about being perfect. Nothing is. It's just about being intentional with what you're doing. If you have any financial tips for anybody watching, please leave them in the comments below because I would even appreciate them. Next week, we are diving into a whole new topic of everything you need to know before you move to New York City area because it's kind of all similar. Obviously, there's just some discrepancies, but I feel like I've lived here long enough now to be able to give real advice that actually people wouldn't think of on a normal Google search. So stay tuned for that. This was Diaries of a 20-something, episode 30, with 30, which is like insane. Like, thank you guys all so much for the support and for watching me and for being in this lovely community with me. And I will see you guys next Friday. Mwah.